All right, so yeah, this is Zunit used to do this kind of stuff, but he decided to not host it because we wanted to get a different panel of people. So I'm gonna let everybody kind of introduce themselves. Look at this fancy man. He's so fancy on his American flag
Dude,
stream.
I was practicing before I got up with this. Dude. It's practice.
Anyways, I'll just kind of go around the table, let everybody introduce themselves before we get this thing started. Obviously, it's kind of ragtag before we can figure out how to actually use OBS. So somebody started off. Tell us who you are. Why are your credentials here?
Just go by the pictures. Krazehh, you're first, dude.
Eat them.
I'm a YSS server leader. I've probably played Ark since the beginning of new servers. Never played Legacy. Heard of it though. That's pretty much it. I've pretty much played non-stop since the start of new servers. I'd like a 2-month break from when I left Zunit's tribe to go into Zealots. But yeah, that's it pretty much.
Dolphin.
All right, Dolphin.
I think mostly knows me from Survival of the Fittest. I'm in TPG, and that's pretty much it.
I've got the face cam on, boy.
Working it. He's putting on the face cam. Zunit, tell us who you are. Who is this guy?
Yeah. Dude, fuck the face of goddamn Ark, that's who. You know what I mean? Just all the time. Just living it, dude. Tons of chicks, dudes all the time. Playing Ark. And N1S nowadays. You know? Living in trees.
About these two guys from Gang Gang. Pepper, who are you?
I'm like
True.
the only good Ark streamer there ever was.
True.
I also invented the only reason people stream officials because of me. I was the face of Ark at one point. I gave it to Zunit. That's it.
Just hit. It was. I bought it from him actually. It was
He
100
bought it for me. It was a transaction we made.
transaction.
Yep.
I'm Jigga, leader of Gang Gang. I've done everything there is to do in this game, good or bad. I've been playing since before transfers. Everyone has their breaks, but now just lead Gang Gang, and that's about it.
All right. Well, I'm Jose. Obviously, you guys know me from my hit singles Under the Mesh and Wipe It All. Soon to be another third single. Just kidding. I don't know. So to kick this off, I wanted to get everybody's input on just a short sentence on how they feel about the Ark PvP meta right now. In let's say 5 to 10 words, what would you say the Ark PvP meta is right now?
Very stale. That's the way I put it. Very nothing. It's just the same shit.
Anybody else?
I would say stale, boring, frustrating at times because of the current meta. So, yeah.
I mean, it's not like uncommon. It's not unknown that right now the meta. Everyone looks at the meta from streams and stuff. It's not uncommon that everyone's kind of fed up with the meta. So I mean, to say it's like stale, boring, or like in 10 words, I think most people are in agreement that it needs changes anyway. There's something wrong with it.
The meta's the same it's always been, except there isn't a big land fob. Everyone just joins, you get your massive 60 people, you go push a base. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you leave. Normally, months ago, you'd make a fob and then you sit in the fob, but that's not viable anymore because of Titan. So then, you just pack up and leave, which is better than sitting there for a week wasting resources over and over and over to not even wipe the base in the end. So changes, and then land fobs can happen again. Because Titans aren't going to be that strong once the beta patches come through anyway. So then land fobs can happen again, I think. When Forest Titan can't rip people out of tech force fields, it won't be that big of an issue.
Very short answer from you, Jigaboo.
Hey, what can I say?
Anyways, I would say caves, mechs, Titan griefs. That's it.
Can we shorten the name down a little bit, brother? Okay. You got to.
Oh shit! All right.
FYI.
Yeah, Builder booth. Builder
a little
booth.
fucking. It's taken down a notch.
Yikes.
Yeah, you gotta remember you're still on Twitch.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody in here, has been enemies with one another. Right now, it's kind of, it's kind of 3 versus 3. It's gang in 3 meta versus, YSS, and then there's N1S, the TPG Alliance. So, everybody here has fought one another. You should probably, yeah. So, I don't think there has been a big land fob since I think 167. Can anybody correct me if I'm wrong?
167
Yeah.
37.
Wasn't a land fob though, really. Like you fobbed in caves. That was it.
Hey, yeah, if you're gonna say
I think
that's a
the
fob,
last
then 292
land fob
is
was
a fob. That was a
185. Oh yeah, true. But that map's
We're
off
not
a giant
counting
cave.
trees or
I don't know.
caves, then yeah. it's
Yeah,
been
the
a
water
long,
holes on
long-
Rag are basically caves, so
Yeah,
that's
they
not
are,
even a
yeah.
land fob. Last ones
I
were
think
probably like the EE raids. The,
Yeah.
Wasn't
What
it
was-
37 though?
185. I think the last one or 385 was like just before Christmas, right?
yeah. Without fob like near the Green Knob Plateau. The one
Yeah.
EE was pushing back, whatever that was.
It's been a while since we've had a good war.
Yeah.
You can only get hyped about wiping TPs for so long.
Yeah, I mean, wiping TPs here and there, that's basically all you can do right now. So, stemming from that, obviously they've just started doing the weigh-in on the public beta. We've been some PvP changes. What do you guys feel like? Is this a good idea? It's finally actually doing a public test realm. Oh, I can't host right now. Zunit, take over for a second.
What?
Take over for a second. Poppy's got to work.
Oh, yeah. Got it. I mean, let me just take a look at the agenda real quick. I mean, like, we had something going down. Past, like, the whole 5 words and the meta thing, I think that it's true. Like, the meta past Titans and stuff like that, it is similar, but but what about, like, the fact that it's mainly...
This is rich.
Jumping into, like, say, mechs, jumping into pocket gigas, like, all that stuff. You don't think that's a completely different change from, like, just where it's always... Isn't that we're thinking about, like, long-term shit, but really there isn't much to do for long-term shit. And even if we did, like, reduce, the type.
Titans aren't going to be a thing after the like beta branch stuff actually comes in. They're going to be completely useless.
All right, let's just, for arguments, let's say we get rid of Titans, and you still think that'll be give opportunity for long-term fobs and stuff like that. I still think it'll be a lot of snapshot on.
It'll give like the opportunity to like actually put down a fob, and like Titans won't be the crutch where we can't put a land fob because Titans. But at the end of the day, people still aren't going to do it because not that many people actually have bases left. There's the main YSS servers, 37, 167. No, 167 doesn't even have a base anymore. And GG servers. Like, the main thing is the fact that everyone's built in caves, so you can't have a land fob against a cave because you can't push a cave with 60 people. One guy on a giga can stop the whole thing. So the whole crouch points in caves, all that stuff needs to be fixed before they're anything else if they want the meta to actually change. Once you make caves actually raidable, less people will live in them. If it's the same risk as having a base as having a cave.
Mod said.
Hey?
Sed's here.
Oh, awesome.
Just
I said
a mod real quick.
All right, well then it's probably a good place to start right into it. Then we were talking about this for like the last couple of days, all of us in the Discord, like come up with ideas, getting ideas from other people, trying to figure out what the changes should actually be. Like what we think would make for a better PvP gameplay and meta and stuff like that, and longer lasting battles or more quality PvP. And I mean, it comes down to it every single time you ask anybody, something has to do with. It's a crutch for people who can't play, and it's a pain in the ass for people to try to raid. So obviously that brings up the scenario where how do you fix that?
Well, Titans are going to be fixed. Mechs, the shield, there has to be something done about the fact you can just constantly spam it, constantly give people the debuff. And then on top of that, you got Snow Owls that can constantly, like, the amount of CC they added into the game with Extinction is just, if you compare it to before Extinction and after Extinction, we went from having, like bowlers, some plant Y. Now we can stun people, slow people, freeze people indefinitely. Like, the amount of CC they added doesn't really add to anything other than to just be annoying. In fact, like, they need to fix the mech shield so it can't be spammed, and just sort of like tone down the amount that someone can get CC'd.
Pretty much
Like,
exactly what he's saying. Like crowd control and the amount that you can't move in this game half the time because of things that they had, snow owls, manas, etc. Like it you can almost argue this game used to take skill. You know what I mean? There was a skill gap between good players and bad players, or good tribes and bad tribes. The amount of stuff there is now that makes it that you literally just can't play the game. And a lot of it's Titans and stuff. But like you said, they're gonna get fixed in the new beta patch, whatever the case. But there's way too much crowd control in this game. That honestly just needs to be, and it changes fights drastically. It's not just ground PvP. One snow owl changes an
insane.
entire giga fight.
It gives like a 30% damage increase, like the enemy bindings as well.
I mean, imagine
actually fucking insane, dude.
It freezes you, it dismounts you, it like a little bird like that changes the whole thing. I mean, like, when Argents got too tanky, they just removed him, and then they added a snow owl that can change a whole fight.
I think
I think the fight should be kind of decided by, if it's an even fight, I think there should be, Quetzal's picking, Pterodon's picking. There should be, like, people on the back line trying to enrich the Giga.
Stuff like that.
Just be, okay,
stuff like that is like good, but when it comes to like a snow owl freezes you and you get dismounted, like, that's just part of the CC thing that just like ends the whole thing. Like, why does a little pigeon dismount you off your dino?
Right, but that's because there's no cooldown between each of these abilities. Like, you can just use one snow to just keep constantly spamming, and like, if there was a cooldown, like a long cooldown between each ability, I don't think people will have that much of a problem, because you just need one snowball and just spawn a large radius of creatures, or you just snowball, jump down and just slow down a large number of creatures. It needs to be like, they need to release the AoE of some of these abilities and now a large cooldown. Like, for
they added that with manas. Like, they made, a cooldown between how you can get frozen and stuff. They just need to sort of add that into other things, like the mech slow, snow owl freeze. Give us some sort of buffer between when it can happen again, is sort of things that need to happen for that sort of like CC, just the lockdown that they've brought into the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Dance way forward, definitely.
It does. The snow owl is obviously a pain in the ass, but I don't think that's a huge. Like, I think that's a huge CC crowd control, but I don't know. I feel like that's not the issue. And then we were talking about mech shields being like the most game changing portion of fights right now.
But that's also a form of CC.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, what do you think is? What do you think a battle gets interrupted more by? A couple of mechs?
No. The mechs 100%, because like pushing used to be, you break foundations, you just keep breaking foundations till you end up at their base. Now it's you have to break vaults to find the turrets so that the mech shields can't get brought up. Then you have to push your own turrets forward so that they can't put their mech shields up. Because if they get a mech shield up, they just win a fight. If you can't put yours up, but they can put theirs up, they win. So the whole thing is about like, you're basically battling who can use a mech and who can't use a mech in most raids. So mechs are a major thing. Like, the mech shield itself is a major thing in any PvP scenario that we do currently.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of this kind of discussion we're having right now, it's kind of boiling down to one thing. It's just that the crowd control is lasting too long. I don't think that anybody has a problem with, the crowd control being what it is, minus the dismounting. I think the dismounting probably needs to be a change, but I think just the fact that, like Dolphin was saying, you can just indefinitely freeze someone till the end of time until they're dead on their dino, or you can mech shield somebody for 60 seconds, they are slow, and then get chased down. I think that just crowd control is just lasting way too long.
Okay, so if you were to put it in a list, like, we need to give the devs something to go off. Like, we need some sort of buffer between slows, right? Of when the mech shield goes down, that's a slow. With the snow owl slamming the ground, that's another slow. Some sort of buffer between when it can happen again. The freeze, buffer between that. Like, cost of the element shield going up and down. Stuff like that needs to be sort of what we say. So
I agree. I agree with the shield and definitely with the snow owl as well. Cost with the element or with the mech shield would be nice. Like, it costs element. You can't just have it run without element. Plus, maybe like a little bit of a debuff timer. It doesn't have to be long, but to be able to take it up, put it down, take it up, put it down continuously, especially for free, is a bit ridiculous in my opinion.
the shield
Even like
does
a 10
cost.
second cooldown. would
And
be-
The
like,
shield
you know,
does cost fuel to, like, it's 1 element for 100 fuel in a mech. Every time you put the shield up, it's like 20 fuel or something. If they were to like increase that to say 50% or even like an element every time you want to bang the shield up, like that would be a big change.
Yeah,
Because when you go to a server to grief, you take what, 10 element for your mech? If that's only 10 times you can put up your shield, you're going to use that a little bit, smarter. So
You're going to be a lot more conservative with it as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
so
Yeah, cooldown's
something for
definitely
the
the
mechs
way
there too.
forward for that.
Dolphin, you're kind of quiet. What do you think about the mechs?
It's the same thing. It really comes down to like the cooldown between each ability. Like if you just make it so it costs more and there's a large cooldown between each time you can use it, then I don't see people having a problem with that.
Yeah. Just cooldowns to the CC. So we have more gaps to actually maneuver and do things between each time we're going to get slowed, stunned, slowed again, stuff like that.
So, I mean, going kind of off that, we were talking about giga fights. It seems like right now all the griefs and all the wars are really decided through just somebody winning a giga fight, and then the push can continue. I mean, how do you guys envision griefs and PvP going? Let's just say there were land bases galore. How would you guys want to be able to raid a base, and how do you think somebody should be able to defend? Should it just be decided against giga fights, or should there be
Well, nothing's ever decided on a giga fight. Like, gigas can't do anything against 100 turrets. If someone's constantly pushing turrets towards you, those 50 gigas you have are literally useless. Like, giga fights matter, yeah, and everyone's using a shit ton of them because we just had a breeding event. Like, everyone has gigas. Like, people that normally don't have gigas, like Zunit raised gigas, or is raising gigas.
Yeah, we'll
You know what I mean? Like, people that normally don't have gigas, raised gigas, or are raising gigas. So they all have them to use. So that's why there's like, each side has 50 gigas. Give it a couple weeks, that'll tone down to even less and less and less and less. But gigas are a major thing. But there's so many ways to counter a giga that it doesn't really help you push a base to have good gigas. It takes a lot of coordination, and, we want to try and bring back C4 dinos as a way to sort of, speed up the process or make raiding a little bit more, creative than just slamming races against the tower, tech taping down the tech turrets, and then hoping you get the gen off or soak the heavy.
Well, that's interesting you brought the tech tapey up, because, just recently, 50 tech tappies running at a tower makes it dead. So you don't really need racers pushing up against the tower when 50 tech tapes just are like, oh, here's the tower, now it's gone.
To be fair, that from what I saw on that base, from my understanding, that was a really bad design. To be fair.
Yeah, that can be built against. Like, it was
Guys,
a tech ceiling and then a tech gen. If that had been like what normally people do, where it's metal, tech, metal, or like double layer, triple layered, there was none of that.
But here's one of the problems, that because what the current meta is, you can just rush. A lot of times nowadays it's just
Zunit with
rushing.
the clip.
Right. A lot of times it's just rushing. You just go search a server. If the target is vulnerable, you just rush 50 tick tappers, right? The fact that you can just rush, I feel like that's kind of a problem. Like, you shouldn't be able to.
I was hoping nobody would
I think
do
the
this.
argument that people are making just that there's no limit to certain things, right? Like, there's platform limit, and like some people want limits to like tech saddles, like, so you can't have like 50 tech tappers just rushing the
Button
target.
name skip alert. Where's
Stuff
that
like
at?
And the Giga thing, I don't really agree. I kind of agree with, but like, not as much, because
I'm using ops.
before that, in the past, before Titans, like, even if you saw a group of Gigas, you were able to like maybe use Kentros. I still don't think Kentros get used as much anymore. At least adult Kentros. I'm talking about like Kentronates. But like Gigas,
Disabled.
I used to be able to throw
Disabled. I
Kentros.
got it.
I used to be able to like
Save.
run
Done.
a Reaper that would at least maybe survive a few seconds against a Giga. Right nowadays, if I throw a Reaper at a group of Gigas,
Oh my God.
no. That's
Still gonna go.
That's what Gigas are supposed to do. They're supposed to kill everything.
but they're wearing.
Like that's why they take 12 days to raise them. They've always been able to do it. It's just you used to be able to rage a Giga with 2 guys with shotguns. You raise a dino for 12 days, and then someone goes and spends 5 minutes in a poly farm,
Hang on a
and
second.
they make 2 shotguns.
Right.
Like
Wouldn't you say that's a problem? Like if your Giga didn't take 12 days, right? Wouldn't you have less of a problem if it takes 4 days and you just happen to lose it because you just happen to have more?
but then everyone has the same OP Giga that they raised in 4 days. Then no one raises any of these other dinos that you want people to use. If we can all have Gigas in 4 days, nothing else will get used in the game.
Right,
Nah.
but I'm talking about like counters, right?
Be
Like,
races and
if you-
gigas.
Right,
There's-
if you-
there's-
if you
Literally
there's
all
lose a
of
fifty
these.
Giga-
No
different
fairies.
counters.
but
You
if
can
you
pick
lose a
someone off
Giga
his
to-
Giga, the Giga's dead. You can
Right, but
velo
if
the
you lose a
Giga.
Giga to a Kentro, for example, like it right takes 2 days. It shouldn't like a team that takes 2 days shouldn't take that long to kill a Giga. It takes like 9 days, but because of like the changes recently, there's certain creatures that I can't use that a lot of us can't use anymore, and that I find that being a problem, you know.
Every dino is situational. You know, like use the tech tapes to get the tech turrets, use the races to tank the turrets, use the Gigas, the Theries, the Rhinos. Use Rhinos if there's no spam. Use Theries if they're not spam and plant Y. You use Reapers if you're able to sit at the back and just sort of shoot things down. Every single dino has its place. It can't be like every dino can be used in every situation. There's no such thing as that balance in any game ever. Like no game has that type of balance.
We can't have, you know, a wide variety. We can only, you know, there's only so many people.
There's
that can
always
be in a
the meta.
server, so we still
Everything's
need,
situational, man. Like,
yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no everything involved. It's everything's situational. Like,
Yeah. And right now, like a lot of dinos are in good spots. There's not really anything that needs to get, you know, toned down because everything's sort of getting to a point where everything's just insane. You know, you got 2k damage Velos, 2k damage Rhinos, Gigas are over 1,000 damage already. Races are at 150k health. Like everything's getting insane. And nerfing it now is just going to affect it even more if and when there is a wipe. So, I don't know. There's not really much you can do with dinos as they are.
Well, okay, I want to go back. I want to circle back to the cave meta thing because I think that if we can boil down, this is kind of the time where I want to do it. Boil down the 3 changes. I think everybody here agreed. Crouch points in caves need to be changed. The C4 on platforms needs to come back. Maybe limit it to 5 or 10, but do not let it be on Quetzes. And then the third thing is that the mech shield needs to be changed somehow.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows,
everyone
these
agreed
are
on
3 things that we agreed on prior to starting this broadcast. Like, this is 3 points that we came in here today, actually, and already agreeing on.
Yeah.
Something to
Yeah,
do with caves. Done.
We've been specifically talking about 3 the last couple of days in the same group chat. So, I mean, and again, coming from a bunch of different walks of Arc life, dude, coming to agreement on 3 is pretty solid, I thought. To start off, anyways, I mean, everybody knows there's some fixes that we think that can actually start the change in, you know, the way the game is played, or at least get people out of the caves, or make it easier for people to at least get into them. So you're being a little more taxed on how many people you have online or how you defend it, instead of just defending with 1 guy in a Giga or something like that.
Yeah, there's no way you can take the caves out of the game. Like, an island server without caves there's nowhere to put anything. Like, there's no base spot on an island where you can actually have dino. So, like, island needs caves to be able to actually live on it. But if the caves were easier to be raided, then it should be, you know, not as much of an issue. If you can go to an island ice cave and you can fit a racer in front of the turret wall, you know, there's a higher chance you raid that than where it is now, where 1 guy on a Giga can stand at the crouch and you're never getting in. Although, Wildcard could think of a way to sort of not really fix breeding, but do something about the fact we need 600 0-0s to constantly get mutations, which would then mean we don't need the caves, because we don't need all the 0/0s.
Isn't it percentage based? Like, it's like a certain percent of the chance you get a mutation. Like, couldn't they just up that or something? I'm not sure how they.
Well, then you'd still just have 600 dinos, so you always guaranteed a mutation.
Yeah.
It's more they need to make some sort of like, they've got cryo fridges. What if we could put all the 0/0s into the cryo fridges and then maybe you get a mutation? Like Unofficial has all that sort of stuff, but then like stuff will get even more insane if you don't have to put any work into it and it just pumps it out itself. So
Yeah.
But if you want to keep it simple, crouch points at caves and stuff like that is the things we agreed on.
I think if they made it to every small Soka dino, at least every small Soka dino could fit into every crouch point.
Because you also don't want to make the caves too
minimum.
big, like where you can fit a racer. Because then if you bring platform saddle big racers again, then it's just gonna be too easy to push a cave at that. Like,
Right.
Not really.
I think so.
I mean,
No, I actually agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think the
what
big
about
problem
trikes
here-
and stegos at least? Like,
yeah,
could that
like,
be a size sort of
yeah, exactly.
minimum? Like, if you can fit a trike into it, that's good. As long as you
Yeah,
don't
like a
have to
dino
crouch with your character.
If you can get through a dino gate, like a regular dino gate, you should be like that should be fine.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
That
that's a
makes
good.
sense.
That's a good size.
That,
Dino
that's
gate
a
size.
good balancing point, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, so let's make the assumption that the three changes that I think everybody here in the chat and inside this podcast, can agree on that need changes. Let's say that Wildcard does do them. If we're looking at the current official, kind of network, all of the PvP servers, there's only, I think, 5 land bases left. There's 26, 37, 180, 184, and 188. That's it.
204.
Everybody, 204. Okay.
out of 600 servers too. Like this.
Out of 600 servers.
That is a huge problem. You have like
so if you
many
nerf
little
the
land
cave
bases.
crouch point so everybody is forced to build a land base again, is that really giving the people who, kind of adjusted to the meta, is that giving them a fair warning? What I mean, is that really
332 as
something
well.
that should happen without a server wipe?
Honestly, I don't even think as great of an idea as that is, and I hope to see it go through or something along the lines. I don't even think that's enough to get people out of caves and trees, to be honest with you.
The way it's going to happen, like if they bring that in, everyone's cave now has, everyone can get into it. Like there's going to be so many caves, bases, whatever, that just get absolutely railed. There's no way they don't, because no one's going to be ready for it. It's just going to happen. People are going to get raided. But then after a while, like the Titans are getting nerfed as well. When people realize that Titans aren't going to be yoinking you out of your main base anymore, you can't constantly sit there and get ice frozen by an ice Titan. Like there's less and less things that put you in the cave that you can't now build a base. If your cave isn't as safe as it was, and you're better off having a big box and then 50 turret towers, better than just having a small crouch point that isn't a crouch point anymore, people will build bases if their caves start getting raided. Is it better for the game? People will adjust. Everyone always has.
I think everyone does. I think obviously the caves is the biggest problem, needs to be changed. And I think Jose, brought up a good point. Is would a wipe be needed? Is it going to be too much to start killing pop instead of? Are people going to just adjust, or are we going to lose pop? I mean, we're not swimming with numbers out here. We don't have
I
like
honestly think-
Yeah,
insane
but
amount.
like the people
I
who
honestly
don't
think
know how to
people
build
will.
are going to get raided, right? The people
Right.
Yeah, no matter what.
who shouldn't
problem
be a
is that,
tribe
like,
are not going to be a
You also
tribe.
have to keep in mind that there's also like smaller tribes that live in caves because they cannot live on the surface. So if we completely force them out, like you're gonna lose a lot of pop. And
You're going to lose pop. Period. Like it's gonna happen. People are gonna get raided. You're gonna lose pop. You can't make any kind of change to a game, even to a tribe. You can't make huge changes about losing some sort. And when you start forcing people out of caves, you're like, and just like you say, if you can't build, you can't live. Well, some people can build, but they have like a small amount of players, like maybe not like a 6-man group or something like that, but say like 25, 30, 40, which I think should be justified as a tribe, an arc, or a beta and stuff like that. But they're honestly, they're going to be dicked.
Yeah, but that's the way
again,
ARC goes, and everyone merges. The 20-man tribe then goes and joins, the TPG or the YSS, and then they go live on another server where there's a bigger land base, and then they don't have to worry about their little base that they were going to build that's going to get railed by the other tribe that ports in.
We need
Everyone
to
merges.
stop worrying about like people getting raided when we're playing on PvP servers. When that's the whole point.
Yeah, where the
You're
point
sitting
of the
here
game
like,
is to
I'm not
make
worried
it
about
raid.
Exactly, yeah,
people
bro.
getting raided.
and then that guy's gonna get raided. Well, shit, that's kind of like the way of the road on these servers, in my opinion.
I'm not worried about getting raided. I'm worried about losing pop. That's what I care about.
Well,
They're gonna get raided either way.
Pop's going to go away, but then if PvP returns to what it was, population will come back. Like when
Yeah,
there's
no,
things to raid, things to grief that aren't just a crouch point where someone bites you with a giga and nothing gets done about it. You know, like the code of conduct exists, whatever. Mesh biting's not allowed. But when you go on a grief and you're just griefing someone's ice cave, when you're in the crouch point, they just come up, bite you with a giga, grief's over, you go home. Like nothing happens about that. But if that's not a thing anymore, then griefing is able to be done again. And then more people will play because there's more things to do other than just go to a crouch point and get bit. So population will come back when there's more PvP because people play this game for PvP. A lot of people
also
only
stop
log
playing
in.
this game because there's nothing to do because everybody lives in caves. So it's like a two-way street if you like really think about
Yeah.
it.
Of course,
Like-
you're gonna have there's cause and effect to every single scenario. I'm just trying to think
Exactly, that's what I'm
'cause
saying.
Bringing it back to it, like if we just do the changes, what are we gonna lose? Versus if we do the changes, put the changes in, implement them, and then do like a wipe or something like that. I know everyone always beats the stupid dead horse of everyone's always like, we should just fucking wipe. Yeah, but if there's
A
no
wipe won't
changes
change
to be
anything.
done, it won't do anything.
Nah.
But if we're making large changes,
Everyone knows how to breed. We'll be back with the same breed line in like 6 months. Like I think at the start of new servers, no one knew how to breed, right? The way people did with like 0-0s and all that shit. Yeah. I think people are just getting tired of fucking wiping TPs. Wow, nice
A
one.
wipe
You wipe
without an
someone's
actual
meat
change
TP.
doesn't do anything. Like we're all back to the same boring game 2 months in. Everyone gets to fly around with griffins for the first month, and then everyone's just sitting in caves and nothing gets built, nothing gets raided, nothing gets griefed, and everyone just goes back to doing what they're doing now. You know, you go grief a TP with 60 people, and then you port out when it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Although you see a lot of old faces come back if the. I even think with that Forest Titan change, a lot of people will come back. I think people who tribes shouldn't exist will get raided if they fix the caves.
If anyone from
Yeah.
Wildcard's in the chat, like, do they have any ideas on the cave meta themselves? Like, do they have any way they're thinking of changing it that they can actually say, or are they all just still in a forum
I think
post
they're probably
scenario?
going to keep it. They're going to keep it under wraps on their ideas, but you know, they did say in Zed's post they do have ideas that they want to present, but they want to get everybody's input first. So
yeah,
I'm sure they have a plan. You know,
I wonder where they're getting their stuff from because, like we've always said, I think the crouch points are the first start, and if they just do something huge, like no building in caves or this, that, and the other thing, like they got to start small and work their way out. So we increase the cave points, see what happens, and then boom, we add a reduced turret limit to caves. Then boom, you implement things over time. I'm not saying that's a thing, but over time, so you're not just hitting with a huge one, offsetting the balance in another direction, and then we're just back at square one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Small changes
tweaks
first,
need to happen
and then see what
over
happens.
time. And I think that's why the three that we have that we decided was a good one. Like, all the caves that have a crouch point that are kind of like just small caves for fobs or big or bases or whatever it is, those can be changed. Things like the ice cave on center we've talked about, that's a huge cave that takes a lot more design, a lot more work, and we got to kind of, that'd be a lot more difficult to deal with, obviously. But like, starting off right off the bat, taking care of caves with crouch points and, small turns is just increase the size of that. I'm not sure, how insane that would be to do. That would be solid. Mech bubbles.
I can't imagine it being
Are
too
you
hard.
including spots like 3 fobs and like 3 fob on extinction?
Well, see, that needs to so technically aren't those spaces not supposed to be built on?
No, because
you have to use cliff flats to build there.
Yep. So it's basically just like a crystal cave, like on Scorched Earth. You have to use cliff plats to get the building going, and then you can snap everything there. So theoretically, no, they're not buildable. It's kind of like when when you could build on the surface and didn't get roasted by the sun on Aberration. Remember that?
So without rating myself here, technically that's not even supposed to be done, and with a quick patch, that can probably be.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll do that because they've still let us have, Central Cave on SE for the past 2 years. And the only way you can build in that cave is with cliff plats. So unless they say no to SE, then they have to say no to everything, which I don't think they do, because there's so many people that have tree bases on aberrations, extinctions, and then the central cave on SE. So
I don't think
but
that's an
wouldn't you
issue.
say
Like, you
if
just
they-
spam it and put like a small tower there or something, you know? It's not really
But
an
wouldn't
issue.
you say
them
if they
spots.
nerf the caves, wouldn't everyone just move to aberration tree spots and like extinction
Right.
trees?
I think you kind of have to bunch those two things together because, you know, aberration tree spots, if somebody's online, it's super hard to raid. I mean, I don't know if, I mean, a bunch of people were on the 250 raid, the 292 raid. There's tree spots on aberration where you can't get there with the flyer. That's just, it's absolute insanity to try and raid while there's defenders online. Good luck.
yeah, I don't know an easy way. Like when it comes to caves, crouch points, get rid of them, makes it so much easier to raid. But tree
it's not gonna
bases,
be.
how do you fix that?
Yeah, I'd say again, start with the crouch points, and then once
Yeah.
that's done with, we can work on something else, brainstorm, whatever it is. You know, trying to redo everything, I think, is too much of a change to start, and it'll shock the community a little bit too much. And that's when I think you can get away with not losing population shit if you do, you know, one small thing at a time, and then check balance. You know, always constantly be checking balance, you know, for a couple of weeks or whatever it is afterwards.
Yeah, if the crouch point stuff doesn't work, then you can do the, you know, instead of having a 100 limit inside a cave, you have like a 50 or a 75, or no techs allowed inside the caves, or, you know, stuff like that. Small changes like Zunit's saying is the better way to go about it than just being like, you can't live in caves, bye. You can't have trees, bye. Because that will make a lot of people quit. If it's just like small adjustments people need to make to how they've built their caves, people will get over it and just build it. That's how it's always
Over
been.
time, get them prepared for something. I mean, that's the way to go.
So
People
I want to
built physical cages around the desert plats and TPs. If they can adjust to that, they can adjust to their small cave chains like that.
Everything has a
kind of
counter and people will find it. Go, Jose.
address
Exactly.
chat real quick. Is that so? I think chat, obviously chat is going crazy and they all have their own suggestions. Is that everybody needs to kind of realize that, remember, official PvP, we are the minority when it comes to Ark, Survival Evolved, and the players that play the game. So we have to kind of suggest things that are small and won't take wildcard a lot of time to maybe work on, because it's a start. Because then they can see how the meta shifts. You know, for example, the people saying that the crouch points won't change anything if people have Parasaur bots and Gigas biting at the entrance. It's a start. So they make the crouch points bigger and then see what happens. If nothing happens, then obviously further adjustment needs to happen. But like,
something is better than nothing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, one thing that doesn't help is like right off the bat just being like, fix your game, fix meshing. Like those are such a yes, in a perfect world, that'd be great. But those are such a rational request. Like obviously they would if they could just do it, snap their fingers. You know, so like,
and they have been doing it.
Yeah,
they have been, especially meshing. Like it's basically a guaranteed ban.
Skittles just said something pretty good. What about increased damage for ab tree spots?
Like 6x?
Yes. Holy.
I was suggesting this idea a while back where you can like, because right now you can just fob those little corner areas right now, like in tree fobs. But the problem is that what we have to, I would like them for them to like add ×6 damage based on the altitude of a structure, because you can just choose anywhere with cliff platforms, really make a TP and make a fob for like aberration specifically, right?
Well, a lot of those spots, they have the too high above ground to build sort of like message come up when you try and build without a cliff plat, don't they? So they could just do 6x above that.
Yeah.
Which, that's a good idea. Tree bases with 6x, raidable.
That'd be brilliant.
Especially if they bring back, you know, letting us have C4 on dinos. There's big bases in trees, like massive bases. Talking multiple 100 turret towers. If we could get C4 races into that with 6x, like they become raidable, then it's an even playing field. You can't just sit in your tree and be untouchable anymore. It's all about making it so you can actually raid people. Is what we want to try and get at. Because then there's more PvP.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I think that's got to be the goal, like making things, you know, more geared around PvP. Whether you want there to be a way to raid people. It shouldn't be like, okay, well, you build here, you're set. Like,
yeah, everything should have a way to get raided. So then you can be like, okay, I don't like N1S. They live in that tree. That's 6x. Let's just go slam some rocket launchers into it. Like, there's got to be a way to look at someone's base. Like, if we look at a TP, we're like, yeah, 60 tech tapes, we'll raid it. But if you look at like a tree base, it's like, okay, so we've got to use a hatch frame Quetzal, and then if they snow owl us, we can't do jack shit. So if things were a lot more raidable, then it's a lot easier to get 50 people to be like, yeah, let's just go slam rocket launchers into the base. So
yeah, make things a little more rateable, and then increase the ground PvP by reducing the CC durations and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it seems like the best, easiest start with the least amount of effort.
Yeah, cooldowns on how quickly someone can get CC'd again. The mech shield, obviously, like increase the cost, and then crouch points at caves. 3 things that we all pretty much agreed on, and then 6x in the tree bases sounds good to me. And like the fob spots high up in aberration, like anything past a certain point, I don't know how they'd measure that or what they'd have to do for that, but stuff like that, if they could sort of figure that out, 6x up there, that would make that stuff a hell of a lot more rateable. Throw guys in with stegos, rocket launchers in 6x. Loads of ways to do things in 6x. It would open it up a lot more.
It also can be used against fobs, because if fobs also take them 6 because they're usually really high up. That also benefits the defender too, because if everything's times 6 based on altitude, then I don't see that being a...
Yeah, people won't. I mean, if they're easier to raid, people won't fob there. Then there will be more land fobs. That's good. I think that's a good idea.
People also don't land fob right now because of Titans. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. So I want to kind of
Forest Titan. Getting changed, isn't it?
Get it to maybe things that we don't agree about, so we can have a little bit of debate here. But before I do that, I wanted to ask on the public beta. I mean, has anybody gone on their server and tested anything? I have.
Not yet.
But it was very short. It was for 20. It was 20 minutes. I was on there with Skittles.
There's people in Gang that go do that stuff. Like, they can just tell me if it's good or not. Like, they went and tested the fabs and the long necks, and wasn't really any much of a change to them, so it wasn't anything spectacular. And then Forest Titan and Ice Titan, there's nothing really to test. It either works or it doesn't. Like, if it can't grab out of shields, we're good.
So would people be more inclined to test it if there were more significant changes over there? I mean, let's say that the next round of changes was like 20 things. Would people be more inclined to go there, or would everybody just kind of be like, look at the change on the patch notes and say, oh yeah, that's good, okay, never mind?
It just depends what there is. Like, if it affects a certain person's way they play, then they're going to go test it. A lot of people use fabs and long necks, so they went and looked at it. The Titan thing was pretty straightforward. Can't pull you out of force fields anymore. There's no need to go test that. It says it right there what it is. As long as it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you complain about it and they fix it.
Problem with the public beta is you're never going to test the true meta of PvP, because nobody's going to put time into raiding on a public beta server. Nobody's going to put time into testing caves, entrances on a public beta server. So maybe you can go test like a fab rifle change against a dummy or something like that, but you're never going to get a real test. You're never going to get an actual. That's why there's no in my opinion, there's no actual possible way to do significant testing on official. That's why when they put stuff out, they're like, this is pretty good. We tested it pretty thoroughly. They put it out, boom, it turns into something nutty. Like the real test.
Like the church cave change. The crouch point in the church cave. They just banged it. It was there.
Yeah. Only
That's
thing
how they
you
should
can
do the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Only thing you should do, don't do too much at one time. If you have a plan for like 5 different things, do one at a time over a series of weeks or whatever it is. Or like, a couple, like 2 at a time, and then wait a few weeks, like something like that. Because again, just don't shock and awe, because you're going to break something else, and then we're crying about something, Well,
what about if they did like a legacy save file? I don't know if there are any legacy save files that have like 2 different tribes battling, but maybe there is.
No one is going to seriously. No one is going to waste their time doing that.
I don't think they'd even put the effort in to do it.
Yeah, like there is nothing that you can go to a public test to test that you can't just wait for it to come to official and just go smash 50 people in.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
The thing they did with the church cave was the proper thing. Like, they were just like, bang, we changed the map, deal with it. Like that's how they should be like with the ice cave on island. Just be like, now you can fit a trike and a stego. Good luck. That's how they were with the church cave, and it worked out fine. They can just slowly
They
do
can
that to
even
the
have
other
law
caves.
to- like,
Yeah,
the
like
fucking ice is melting. Oh no, what will we
And
do?
I don't think
Yeah.
they need to hide stuff like this. Like I think like when they're trying to make changes, like announce what changes they're thinking about making, so everyone can like think about it, talk about it before they even decide they're gonna make the change. Like it's not like new content that's coming out. Like I don't see that I need to like hide it from anybody or like, oh, we're not gonna talk about it. Like I saw one of them say earlier, you know, we're thinking about some changes, but you know we're like they're probably not gonna say it, but why not? Like why not just release it out so we can talk about it, we can think about it, we can mentally.
it's not like it's going to be anything game breaking that like.
That's what I mean. It's not like you can't. It's not marketable. You're not gonna be selling it to anybody. It's not gonna be new release shit. So like I think that open communication where they come and be like, all right, this is what we're thinking of, guys. What do you think? Or we have 3 changes we're gonna make. What do you want to see first? You know, like something like that. Other games do that where they kind of vote on the changes before it even happens, or they vote to not even.
Well, Sed just said. So I'm hearing betas aren't really effective at testing large scale meta change, which
Yes.
realistically
100%.
is right. Like
Correct.
you're not going to have 70 people go slot cap it and you know PvP each other.
Yes,
Big
may
changes
have-
you just put in and see what happens.
If like the Survive the Arc stream turned on, you'd get a bunch of people to join it, but it's not going to be the people that you want to actually test it. It's not going to be the people that grind day in, day out trying to break into bases that are hard to break into. It's not going to be those guys. It's going to be random people either trying to stream or trying to like, oh, this is cool. You know, you're not going to get a full test. Actually, you're probably not going to get anywhere near the test that you actually want. So
Yeah.
I don't think public beta for big change like this even going to matter.
It wasn't bad for like the fab and the long neck thing because people did go and test that. You know, it wasn't anything remarkable and
easy
people
test,
were
though.
very hype about it. But
Yeah.
for other things, they don't really need it for every little thing. They can just sort of be like, we changed the crouch point in Ice Cave. There you go. And then that's all that's needed. We don't need it on a beta test realm for 3 months until they figure it out. If they just put it in and see what happens, it worked with the church cave. Like they've done that before, they can do it again.
Yeah, and it's not like everybody's going to be like, I don't feel like doing it. It's just naturally you're not going to put as much effort into fake
Something that doesn't
server
mean
versus
anything.
your actual stuff that you're protecting for months.
Yeah.
That's the difference. As much as they want to, and everyone would agree to do it or try it, you're not going to get the same level of play on there ever.
Center Ice Cave is like the Snow North Cave on Center is such a like. It is probably the hardest.
There's nothing you can do to it.
Yeah, it is the hardest cave in the game to raid, and I do not see a way that you can change it that makes it raidable. There's 2 different points. There's where you come up out of the water, you're just slaughtered, and then even if you get past that point, you then have the big drop down, which is another. You just get slaughtered at it. There's no way that they can change that in a small way that makes it doable. There's no such thing as a small change to that cave. It
We'll have
just
to completely redesign it.
yeah, they'd have to completely redo it or let it. No one can build in it, which is like you know one of those
Just get
big
Malone to
things.
bait you enough times to where you soak the wall entirely.
Yeah.
Bring
So-
back Old Volcano and make that the Ascension cave.
Oh,
boys.
Yeah. Old Volcano was the best to push. Legacy fucking fights on Volcano were the best.
So let's kind of talk about. I want to bring up a topic that we would disagree on. So I'm trying to think of one because you know for the past couple of days we've been sitting here in this group chat, sitting here. Okay, we need to agree on this. We need to agree on this. And now I'm just like, man, everything that I think.
Okay, what
we
about
agree on.
cryopods? Cryopods. So the
Alright,
biggest
so
thing
when you
right
throw
now, when you
Pocket
snow
gigas?
out, yeah, when you snow out freeze someone, right? Biggest meta in the game right now. You get yourself an owl. You go smash onto someone on foot. You freeze them. Then you hop off your owl. They're still frozen for about 4 seconds. That gives you enough time to get off the owl, throw out a giga, and just start munching them. You know, you might 1-hit them, you might 2-hit them, but there's no counterplay that they can do besides, you know, they Z'd you off or whatever. But for the most part, the pocket giga is going to kill you.
Right, but
So,
that has to something to do with this.
some sort of, like,
cooldown,
timer.
though.
No, that won't have anything to do with it because that's the first cooldown that they hit you with. That is the first bit of CC that they hit you with. They
Right, but
instantly freeze you.
if you get unfrozen quicker, like, wouldn't you be able to like run away from the giga?
But the whole thing is, the minute you're frozen, they've already gotten off the owl. They're not holding you there for 30 seconds, then getting off. The minute you get hit by it, unless it instantly unfreezes the minute he gets off the owl, you're already dead.
What if they add something like we have for Titans download? Like you uncryo something and it takes a certain amount of time.
It can't be a massive delay. Like Mook is saying, 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
I
Which
think
isn't that bad.
Make every dino cryosec every time you throw it out for like Jigga said, 5-10 seconds.
Not cryosec as in it takes 10 times damage.
Just you can't ride it.
No,
you can't mount it. You can't mount it. You can't aggressive it.
Yeah, so I say in this scenario, again, let's play the conservative side of it. You start off with 5 seconds. You can't ride it, can't do anything like that, or whatever. Even if it takes them to like put it into cryo sickness or whatever, where it doesn't take damage, whatever would be the easiest. Start with 5 seconds, no mount, and if that's not enough, you just bump it up. You know what I mean? I think 5 seconds is fine, like you said. 5 seconds is a lot longer time than you think it is too when you're actually PvP.
Yeah, the big thing with this game is like, you have to contend with lag, as well as like all this new CC that's here. Like, that isn't taken into account when if you're on a 255 server, he's frozen, you gotten off his owl, he gets like an extra 10 seconds maybe sometimes, depending on how laggy it is, to throw out and do whatever he intends on doing. You know, like CC plus the server lag we deal with on a day-to-day basis doesn't really go together. So the cryosec sort of 5 seconds before you can get on the Giga or before it can move, something like that is good.
I saw Skittles. He just said, I don't like the idea of throwing a dino out of a cryopod and having it on cooldown. If the issue is the owl, then that's the issue. I don't think that's the point of it. I think that's one of the points. I think the fact that you can just throw out the Giga and have no, you're not taxed at all in any way. You can just throw out a Giga at any time. That's what's kind of pulling back on PvP on the ground. Everyone's just so ready to throw Pocket Giga down on anything and just jump on and bite.
It's not just Gigas either. It's like berries, rhinos, whatever pocket dino you have. But it just a small delay, because you hear the cryopod come out, right? Like you hear when someone throws it, and you immediately know you've just got to run, because it's going to be a Giga, it's going to be a speed there, it's going to be something. When they throw it out, you have an extra 2-3 seconds to, get some space between you and where they just threw that out, that's good. And it shouldn't really be that much of a big change if we just get 3 to 5 seconds to move.
What if it instead, to counter what Skittles said and kind of meet us in the middle, I don't know if this is what you just said, this is what Rezi just said. What if you threw the cryo out and it sat there and like bounced around, like cooked for a minute like a grenade? Like you throw it out and it doesn't pop out, you know what I mean, for like 5 seconds. And then, but once it's out, you can get on it, but it doesn't instantly pop out, you know what I'm saying?
But that would add some sort of other issues with like server lag, you've thrown it out, server goes down as you threw it, like all this other stuff. I think it'd be easier for them to just have the dino appear and then you just can't mount it for 5 seconds.
I mean,
they've already got like cryo sickness, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, logically, if we think about it, cryopod is, you're freezing a dino. So when you throw it out, maybe have it just be frozen like a snow owl for 3 seconds, and then it pops out, just like fucking Jigga was saying. That's,
yeah, the animation's already there. Just gotta fucking actually implement it.
But this all stems from like, I don't mind like being able to throw, like, say someone starts pushing at you. Some of the coolest things is where you're all on races and shit, right? The enemies then come out of their cave and they all just throw down 20 gigas. They start coming towards you with 20 gigas, and then 10 of the guys behind you throw out gigas. Like, I think that's cool. Like, that's something that the game has that's new and is fun. Like, it's okay for that. And then it's, there shouldn't really be too much of a, they shouldn't really change that too much in my mind. But if they would have nerfed the Snow Owl harder, then they couldn't do the Snow Owl freeze to throw out the dino. That's not a bad change as well. Like, do something about the Snow Owl freeze towards players, and then the pocket cryopod's still an issue, but it's not as big of an issue. Because I don't find myself dying to someone just throwing out a Giga when I'm on foot. It's more when I get CC'd, then they throw out the Giga. Is how it sort of happens. It's the CC into the pocket dino.
It just boils
if it
down
didn't get CC'd, you'd be able to escape. Exactly. You'd be able to escape if you didn't get literally the pause button.
Yeah, that or like they plant Z, like by the time you hit follow to that dino, you're already
plant Z, can we like hit that real quick?
Let's hit plant Z, let's hit it.
Holy.
Okay, two things. Can we get the weight to 5? Because right now it is way too fucking heavy. For how much it is needed in the game for defense, offense, whatever, like, you need it. And the fact it weighs so much is just ridiculous. For a little fruit, that should weigh like 5. Like, I get they wanted to increase the weight, make it so you can't just have 100 of them sit there pegging it. Like, just bring the weight down to 5. Like, 5 is a good number. You can still carry a decent amount. It's still not like you're throwing 600 of them at once. Like, 5 is a good number in my mind. And then, does it actually need to give us a white screen? Like, does it need to flashbang us?
It doesn't give 90% of the players a white screen, doesn't it?
But it gives like all the streamers, the other 10% that are like, INI is bad. Like, does it need to do that? Because a lot of people use INI for the fact that you get flashbang.
I think if there was a cooldown between each time I can be blinded, I wouldn't mind it too much. And the problem.
But why does the blind have to be there at all? Like, no one uses it as a flashbang so you can't see. They just use it to get you off a dino. No one sees you around a corner and throws a flashbang. It's not an FPS. Like, they see you on a ferry, they throw the flashbang to get you off. It's not an FPS. Yeah, like, there's no... He's in the corner throwing a flashbang.
Flashing right now?
Sorry, boys, if we can't see them, they can't see us. Fuck it.
I mean, it is a flashbang. Why don't we... Let's kind of, piecemeal it here. It's worded as a flashbang. It's supposed to blind people, but what if we just say riot helmets make you immune to it?
No one's gonna wear a riot helmet. Just remove the fact
you immune to it.
Tech helmet make you immune to it. That's fine.
Tech helmets maybe, but like, it doesn't need the flashbang part of it. I get it. They want it, whatever. That's just like another side thing. But the weight needs to be reduced.
But I mean,
you cannot carry enough of them.
Almost everybody except Christian gamers are using an INI.
Everybody except how the game's supposed to.
If you don't stream, you use INI. It's literally just the way.
Yeah, 100%.
Get
rid of it, dude. Like, just get rid of it.
I've watched you before. Shut the hell up. You use INI.
It's not the INI problem.
That blinds me.
It's not the INI that's the problem. It's the fact that your screen just goes white, and it's so AIDS to deal with. If your screen didn't go white, INI wouldn't exactly be... It's not going to stop INI. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if the screen doesn't go white, then INI is not an issue. But INI is not the issue at all. It's the fact
I lose sleep at night over the white screen.
Yeah, your eyes hurt when you look at it. Like on someone's stream, when you're watching a stream, it's just white. Like, that's not good viewing experience.
I bought that for you.
Actual.
Yeah, like, when you're... Exactly what Krazehh said, like,
I almost got divorced.
You just started flashing white, like, it shouldn't be there, in my opinion. Like, there's no need for that. I should be able to see my screen. No one's using it like it's an FPS. No one's throwing a flashbang to blind people, because they're not getting blind, because they have INI. You're just blinding the one person in your group that doesn't have INI. Yeah, it's just how it boils down to. Yeah, Zunit.
Yeah, it should just
or
be
Pepper,
it should just be like a disable. Disable that.
Yeah, it's a disable. It doesn't need to disable your fucking computer monitor. Like, it does not need to.
And I doubt you use INI unless somebody set that shit up for you. I doubt you even
know. I couldn't I wouldn't know how to do it. I have to have Fifi do. Fifi had to do my join script for me. I don't fucking know.
I'm the same way, dude. I didn't know how to get into those files.
So let's talk about Valor and enforcement.
I still want to do some meta stuff. Like, if I can, like, for me is it bothers me a lot that a Titan can be protected by a mech shield, and there's proper counters to it before it can be downloaded, but I don't find enough proper counters after it's downloaded. There's no.
Well, there is going to be proper counters if they were to think of the mech shield change.
Right.
Like, the things we've sort of told them is counters. Like, if they don't have enough element to sit there and run their mech, then the Titan's going to not have a shield.
Though.
Yeah, sometimes. But then once you get through the tech tapes using 20 element each and then dying on top of the ob, like the person that has 30 element in his mech for no reason, like, eventually you will run out of element if it costs you an element every time you want to bring the shield up.
Right.
And then the Titan just dies.
Here's my problem with it. I don't find any skill on a creature that just stays still and just right clicks and is protected by a shield. Like, before people figured out that you can put a mech shield on top of Titan. The Titans will be moving. They will be constantly.
But there's no skill in a lot of dinos. There's no skill in a Reaper. There's no skill in a Basilisk.
I disagree.
There's no skill in a Griffin. There's no skill in a Tech Tape. There's no skill in a Giga.
There's a lot
You walk
of
forward
skill in
and you
glider shooting
bite.
down onto a downloading Titan, throwing out a Velo, and right-clicking. That's super hard to do. Let me tell you, 255 ping.
It's not a matter of skill in this game. It's a matter of what works and what doesn't work. If the shield isn't there, the Titan's going to die, and then there's your issue solved. I know you want to sit there with a mech cannon.
I want to be able. I want to be able
cannons
to
at it.
hit. Yeah, I want to be able to use siege cannons again. I want to be able to use the things that the devs design.
I used those siege cannons against bases. Like, let's bring that back.
No,
that was a fun few weeks.
Here's the thing. I would like for siege cannon to come back, but remove the structural damage. Because if you remove the structural damage and you remove the ability of them getting shot by turrets, that means I can use siege cannon again against the Titan. And your Titan's not going to sit still there taking shots from the siege cannon. You're going to have to.
Yeah,
move.
but the thing with your siege cannon, right? If I see you with a siege cannon, I'm just going to kill your mech.
No, because it'll be sitting behind the shield. And then
But you
it's
can't
a battle
shoot
of like.
But then you're not going to be able to.
Shield.
No, each
You're not
side will
gonna be
have
able
to,
to
each child will be able to use shields. I mean,
It's like a
siege
Tech
cannons
Rex
and
that can
rifles.
shoot past render, man. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's.
We're trying to balance things. You're trying to create something that's broken.
No, I'm trying to use.
No.
I want to be able to use counters. Like if you don't.
A
if you
Titan
don't have
has like
counters for-
15 different counters, as is. You have turrets in vaults, so people can't use the mech shields. Then the Titan's just sitting there out in the open. There's Velos. You can run up to it on a
No,
Giga. You can run up to it on a mech,
I'm
mech
talking
pistol.
specifically once is there on its target and is protected by a mech shield. A lot of
Okay, you
times
go
you're
get a
gonna
Velo
kill-
and you kill it.
But
Like,
how many
your
times
cannon's
does a
not
Velo
going to do
work?
anything to it.
That is a soft counter. Like I'm talking about. I want to be
A
able to
Velo
use
is
A
fire.
probably the
Velo
hard-
can drop
A Velo is
I
500
think
K
that's
the
the
hardest
we're
talent.
kind of.
Wait.
Yeah, but how many
A
times are
Velo
you gonna
can
be able?
drop a full forest from 500,000 HP
In like
to
3
0
seconds.
in
Before-
one
before
bar
it
of
gets downloaded,
stamina.
though.
It doesn't have to wait and starts, let it stay in 1 bar of stamina, 500 to 0, 3 seconds. How's that a soft counter?
But you're talking about before it gets downloaded. Once you can
No,
download
when
it,
it's
No,
Well,
downloaded-
see,
all you need to
everybody
do is
thought-
After.
all you need
Even
to do is
after
left
it's
click
downloaded,
and it will
Velo
fall off
kills
the
it.
Titan.
So when it's okay, that's not true. When it's
It will-
downloaded, it's like
once you do
instantly-
a left click, the Velo will immediately fall off the Titan.
You
Let's
can
look
literally
at
put the Velo between the legs. Like,
Yeah, I
If
mean,
You
okay,
you have
so
to count lag though. You're not gonna perfectly land where you want to land with the Titan. On
I
yeah, but
think-
that doesn't matter because a Velo counters a Titan so hard that it really does not matter. I know you want to use the mech cannon, and it wouldn't actually change anything if they did it. If they made it so it can't do any structure damage and the cannon shells don't get shot by turrets, it wouldn't change anything other than Mr. Dolphin would now be sitting on a mech with a mech cannon instead of sitting on a Basilisk. Like, it wouldn't change anything for, like, the greater PvP scale. It would just be Dolphin on a mech on the side of the ob, shooting his rockets at things. That's all it would be. It
If we're
wouldn't
like
change
gonna
it
talk
grand
about like
scale.
what we personally want upgraded, I'd like fab damage, and I'm sure most people more like in the chat would like. But that's
I
not
thought we
gonna
said we
necessarily
weren't going to talk
solve-
about that.
No.
I thought we said
balance.
we weren't going to talk about that.
I know. I'm just like taking the piss at it though. Like that just doesn't
Nope.
make sense, dude.
Well, if we want to talk about fucking crazy stuff, dude, how about Tech Unicorn Saddle if we're gonna go crazy?
Fuck it. Why not?
I wanna
Shoots
go
right
back
out of
to
the
Dolphins.
horn, dude.
All right, chill.
Anyways, back at it.
Okay,
So-
go. Civilized.
I think the real point that I think we need to ask, you Dolphin, is like, are the Titans supposed to be that threatening to where they get downloaded, everybody goes, panic, we need to get killed, the fucking Titan right now. The Titan's downloading, we need to kill it right now. The Titan's downloaded, oh crap, we're fucked. Should they really be at that point? No. So
I don't
in
think
that
Titans are
regard-
at that point. Are Titans
don't-
at that point
not
for
anymore.
anyone on a server? Like,
No, I'm not even scared of Titans. Do y'all 1v1?
I don't
Like
have
when a
You
Titan
see
is
them coming.
downloaded.
You see them coming.
Yeah,
Like,
you know where they are on
what-
the map. You either kill it when it's downloading, you kill it on the way to wherever it's going, you kill it before they get a shield on it. Like, I've never seen a Titan live long enough to actually be an issue. Like,
yeah,
the
let's
whole
just
time,
go-
you just dedicate one guy to killing the Titan. And that's all. Like, no one panics about Titans anymore.
I
They're
still
not a big
think the best course of action right now, if you're really
Is
scared
mech
of them,
shield.
again, reduce the mech shield. Like,
Yeah.
give it
Mech shield
a
is
give it a
the biggest
cooldown,
counter.
give it a whatever the hell, make it charge. Tax some more element. I think that's a really easy chance. I know you. I don't know. Last few fights I was in, and I'm kind of fresh to this whole mech stuff still, and there's just nothing you can do. There's 5 mechs around. You have the same side. Like, they're just egressing back to where they came.
And mechs do so much damage to players too, so like you can't
A good mecha
effectively
one
just
tap.
shotgun them.
Just a little
One
too
tap a
fast.
player,
Yeah.
and it slows
dude.
the player, so it can't run away. So.
Yeah,
I
but
think
but
that
that's
mech damage to
CC
players
again.
needs to be-
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I mean. Yeah.
once they nerf the mech shield, then Titans themselves are like even further nerfed. When the beta changes come to like official, Titans are already going to be just nothing but a distraction, so they can't have them. Like you download Titans now, so the defenders can't. Like that's the only reason you download Titans. If you don't want them to use them against you, you download them. If they die, they die. It doesn't matter. For a majority of the griefs, you know, like the only reason you get them is so that other people don't get them. So after all the nerfs and all that, and then the mech shield, Titans probably won't even be downloaded anymore because they'll just be too much of a hassle to bother protecting for like how little you get out of it.
Well,
You
yeah, I mean,
download
okay,
it just so somebody else couldn't, and then you wouldn't care if it died, to be honest.
Yeah, you downloaded it fucking red ob on an island server
Yeah.
if you're attacking blue ob. You know, like you really don't care if it lives or dies.
right.
It's
so
just
then,
there so they
okay,
don't have it.
Should Titans be used in the PvP meta? Because if we nerfed them
Yes.
to oblivion and nobody used them, then what's the point?
The
of
only
having
one
them?
that gets used now, I think we
Is
can
Forest.
and is
It's only
Forest.
the
And the
Forest.
only reason it gets used is because it can grab you through structures,
Out of your
through
mech.
terrain, through bubbles. I mean, it's literally broken in its current state with how it goes through stuff. That's the only reason it gets. Ice is a good Titan to use for drops, not PvP. Deserts,
I mean,
not
the
really.
freeze
Des-
is pretty
desert
You
nice.
leave it on
is-
aggressive. You
Desert
literally
is
leave it on
literally
aggressive.
Desert is useless now. Like they broke it when they did their line of sight damage thing. Like it cannot destroy anything. But if we're talking about like should Titans be in the PvP meta, they are. They're about to get nerfed to shit and be useless. But then what do we have left? We just have tech tapes and soaking turrets without them bringing back like C4 dinos. You know, like people want the hatch frame races and Quetzals and that nerfed, but you can build against them. Like if you don't build against them, that's your fault. Like if you want to have a full tech base, you're just going to have 60 tech tapes destroy your base. It's the same for a
Yeah.
hatch frame Quetzal or racer.
Well,
You have to build
Hatch
against
Frame
it.
Racer, like, yeah, you say you can build against it, but like if the main goal is to not get your TP tech rifle down, you can't really build against it because racers now have 120,000 life. Unless you're gonna put 50 turret mode velos on every single one of your TPs to counter
It's
the
actually
racer. I mean,
counterproductive because that'll
Yeah,
add
it
lag
lags-
and make
lags
your
the hell
tech
to-
tappies. Make your
Velos
tech
are
tappies way
disgusting
more
for lag.
well, I mean, I've told the devs about that back in November when Extinction released, when I had 200 on my Extinction. Skittle.
I don't know. There needs to be more ways to raid a base than to just sit there and soak it until you lose numbers, and then you just like either have to back up to your main fob or port out. Like C4 races, Quetzals were good too, but they were just broken as shit in 255 ping. Like that's why they had to
Skittles
get
just
removed.
asked, what's your thought on hatch frames on platform saddles?
Get rid of them.
Yeah,
You don't need to get rid of them. You don't need to get rid of
Maybe
them.
limit.
You can
them.
build against everything that a hatch frame racer or Quetzal can get to.
Yeah, like
I'm just
UT,
particularly
fellas,
salty at them
round
recently.
turrets,
Yeah, because one flew into your
and
base and ate
parts,
literally everything you were
literally
raising. I
Dude,
understand.
everything was dead.
Yeah.
That's just down to bad build,
Everything.
though. Honestly, dude.
I don't like
Imagine
it.
that. I would never. I don't even know what that feels like after 3.5 years of playing this game.
If we have to give one thing to get one thing back, right? Like you can take away the hatch frames if you give us back the C4 race.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I'll give up hatch frames in a day if I can use a C4 racer again.
Okay,
C4
Hatch
races are
frames
probably the
is
best
fine
thing.
because I mean, for like Quetzals, like if you have velos on the ground, it'll land your Quetzal, right, or whatever.
Skittles, just give us back the C4 races.
Yes.
Raiding
Okay,
was
but
fun
the-
when you
No.
could actually shock an ore something.
Yeah, don't worry
Okay,
too much
but
about the
I
hatch
don't
frame.
think I don't think
C4
that you
races
should be able to
were-
drop a
C4.
tower and just like that with one C4 racer. I think that if you give us it back, I think it needs to be limited to 5 to 7
5
to 8,
C4, yeah.
because
Yeah,
if
as
you
somebody
go
that just
up-
got dicked by one, you don't need to touch the hatch frames anytime soon. I think that's such a small.
Like you've already
issue.
counted
Like,
against
I don't
it
think we
in
should.
the forest base you have. Like you just
Yeah,
you didn't have
fan
counters
supports.
before, and then now you have counters. We can't fly Quetz back into your base, so it doesn't need to get changed because you can just easily build against it in like 5 minutes
Trust,
after you knew it happened.
I know you guys can't because you would have done it 100 more times after that. So.
Exactly.
Well, if you
Even
run
with
a
your
tech bubble for fucking every single day of the week, I mean, Max
Bubble
would
Boy
listen.
did.
When you Richie Ball, you know what I mean? When you Richie Ball.
Hot
don't
frame
know.
quarters are fine.
There should be
Just
more ways to raid a
fix your
base than
shit.
sit there and soak for 20 hours and then tech tape for a bit. Like if people want to nerf tech tapes, then you can only have 5 tech tapes, and then it's like playing 6-mans. You know, you're gonna have the 10 races that you can have with the platform cap. Then you got 5 people on tech tapes, like just getting shredded over and over and over.
Yeah,
If you want to put a tech tape saddle fucking limit, whatever, like you need other ways to break someone's defenses than to just sit there and soak it till they run out of ammo. Because it takes way too long to soak tech turrets.
Well, everybody's
tech tape
everybody's
stuff
tech
you guys
turrets
do
are
is
capped
dirty.
at this point.
Yeah, especially with element gotchas. Like element is nothing, so shards are nothing. So everyone has a majority tech turrets because it's cheaper than ARB. You don't have to sit there and make ARB. You just go whip a gacha and then you can fill a tech turret. So there needs to be other ways. Which C4 races, Skittle, bring them back. You said it was some sort of like exploit was being done with it, and then it never got brought back. Like you guys accidentally enabled it again a couple weeks after you removed it, and then we got to use it for a couple days, and then you took it away again.
Can
I
we
would
talk
like to see it
about?
come back.
Can I bring up a subject that we can?
You're gonna bring up parasaurs, dude.
I am gonna bring up parasaurs.
Parasaurs should
But
not
do you wanna
detect
know why?
unless someone is on them. That is all.
Yeah, because people just leave them on, and then they put a bot. They lay in a pod next to it, AFK, and then they run a script that then link it to their Discord. So if their parasaur detects somebody,
It just apps in their
like,
Discord.
you don't have to play the game to know somebody. I can literally sit here and play League all day and find out somebody's outside my base.
Right, but they
Without
were
even
much of a
team is
problem.
literally ESP.
They're more of a problem because we
Literally
live in
2 minutes.
caves, so it's a lot easier to like.
Yeah, but that
use
doesn't
the
matter.
parasaur.
Is it right that I don't have to? No one has to play the game in order to know that someone's outside your base.
But here's the
No,
problem:
it's
like they
very
added
bad.
that to
They can't
stop
they,
a lot
it
of the
was for
griffin they
meshing.
used to be.
No,
It
it
was for
wasn't
meshing
for
a lot of the
griefing,
griffin.
it was for meshing.
So we don't
And
need.
now
we don't
meshing
need
has
help
its
detect.
own
Yeah,
detection.
Valor took care of meshing, essentially, in the best way it
Single-handed.
can. Parasaur isn't going to help with meshing. You know.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to stop griefing, stop PvP, why are we playing these servers in the first place?
Exactly. Parasaur was there for meshing, and then now it's only there to run your little OCR script so it pings in your Discord when someone gets detected. They can simply nerf that by they can still keep their Parasaur detection thing for Jen and she made it, blah 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 blah. But if someone sits on it, they can have the turret mode. But if they're not sitting on it, it shouldn't just sit there and detect anyone within 500 meters.
It should cost a lot of stamina to use it.
There should be some sort of downplay to it other than taming a level 5 Parasaur, putting it next to your turrets, turning it on turret mode, and then leaving it for the next 6 months as it detects you in your Discord for you. Like, Parasaurs protect bases, not people. Like,
people like saying in chat as well, like, Parasaurs are the reason you're not getting mesh. No. The reason you're not getting mesh is because there was a tool developed that enables the devs to know when somebody goes into a location that they're not supposed to be in. Your Parasaur has nothing to do.
yeah. When a mesher sees a Parasaur, they don't just leave. Like, if they're there to mesh you, they mesh you. Your Parasaur doesn't. They don't look at a Parasaur and be like, "Oh, can't mesh that. That's got a Parasaur." That's got nothing to do with it. The Parasaur was just there so you could see them under your base.
Yeah, but the thing is, people don't just use them to detect. They use them now for like where the babies hatch. Like they use like it's not just us that use the Parasaurs too. It's like smaller.
You've also got eyeballs
So
for
then,
that as
when
well.
they're hatching their babies, they can sit on top of the thing and they can see their little babies running around.
I mean, I don't know if it's really gonna help, but somebody suggested in the Twitch chat, remove the text at the top of the screen. Done. You can't use OCR.
Just do a sound notification.
Yeah.
Sound notification.
You can't do the bot if it's only got the sound. Yeah. I don't know how well someone could script something for sound because I'm not really all over that. But if it didn't have the big notification that comes across people's screen, telling them that bang, there's 50 people outside your base.
I mean, that's a perfect like middle ground, like to start.
It already makes the sound. It already makes the sound.
Yeah.
They just have to remove the big text thing across the screen.
Yeah.
Like, that's a simple fix. They just get rid of the text at the top of the screen and it still sits there and makes its honking noise when it detects someone. That's a good change. Easy.
And
That is
again,
easy.
if there's something that makes that too OP or annoying, it can always be addressed again. That's a great start in my.
Like you want to keep numbers, you want to keep population. The biggest thing is like
Yes,
2 to 3
Skittles.
people go
Yes.
out in grief. You know, leave the sonar in, but only remove. Yeah, exactly, Skittle. People can still get detected with their little red dots, but as long as it doesn't say the big message across the top of their screen, it changes already. The red dots might be a bit of an issue, but like not as much as being at the back of your cave and then it just tells you on top of your screen that
I was gonna
someone's
say
there.
if you're in so how they're doing it right now, they sit in the sleep pod or stand next to or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
you know, for that script to happen, then they'd have to do it like this. The code has to come up on the screen. Aren't they using pixels right now? They're just using that pixel when it changes to that certain whatever.
Whenever they just see the color of the text.
That's what I
tells
mean.
them-
Like, and it comes up, and then boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes more sense.
What about the code of conduct? Should mesh biting be on it? Should lowering
It is on it.
platforms-
It's just
should
it doesn't
lowering
get
Here's-
platforms be
Here's
included?
my.
No,
I'll go
The
first.
thing
I'll
with
go first.
yeah, go Pepper. Go.
Because you're probably gonna be able to wrap this one up for most of us anyway. Yes, you get banned more than most of us in here. No, in my opinion, the code of conduct, personally, it's got good things on it. It's got bad things on it. My personal thing I dislike about
Jose's
it
reveal, boys.
is that there's way too much gray area in it, which then falls upon sometimes maybe a certain dev's lap to make a decision which they don't know, they don't have any information about. For example, if someone was mesh biting and then somebody mesh bite them back, then the dev comes in and they ban one tribe but not the other or something like that. That stuff happens all, or not ban, but they'll like come and delete a giga over here and then warn the tribe and they'll leave the server and they never actually knew what happened because they got 200 spam reports that this guy did that and they didn't really see what happened. And you know what I mean? Like there's so much gray area, and mesh biting is obviously one of those gray areas that I don't know. Things aren't getting policed very well. Yeah, that's my opinion.
So in those scenarios, because obviously I have a different angle, but my angle is pretty similar. I think it's not so much of a gray area. It's an impossible thing to enforce with a small enforcement staff. Like that doesn't make sense.
If
And
they
you're not going
can't
to be able
come
to
and
do
watch
it.
it.
Let's take the example recently that we were arguing about not too long ago. Let's take that example. You know, somebody bites through or whatever, wants some of that, and then Homeboy comes in and just clears out that whole cave, kills all the players, the Giga that's there, the dinos that are there, Krause's Giga, and bounces. Like, how are you gonna?
Yeah, but that's the thing with like that's the thing with the mesh biting rule. It's so like we're in the bear cave, right? I'm the defender. I walk forward, I bite, and I kill you all, right? You start screaming, you throw out a Giga, then you bite and you obviously rage me, and then my Giga kills all my people, whatever, right? Which is what was happening on 356. Someone would bite, someone would wait for someone to bite, and then we'd bite back. Like I was one of those people that was like, if they literally bite me here, I'll throw down my Giga and I'll rage his Giga. But that's simple because like, what else are you supposed to do in that situation except sit there and then every 15 minutes when this guy feels like walking forward and biting, you just got to suck it up. You know, you send in your report, Dev comes, Dev says, no one mesh bite, deletes a Giga. People are still going to do it 20 minutes later and then hope no one notices. You know, like the mesh biting rule is like 50-50 on when it's actually enforced. If a dev, I know they're a small team, they can't come and watch it, so they can't really enforce the rule when it comes to, you know, like a bear cave.
That's why I said there's so much
point.
gray, and that's
like it really comes down to who can send in the most reports. And so I'm GG, you just reported me for mesh biting, Dev comes, deletes my Giga, right? Okay, you guys still have Gigas sitting in there, you guys had walked forward and bit us through the mesh before. Nothing happens there. We just sort of got to suck it up and then hope you guys, in the kindness of your hearts, on Arc, don't bite us again, which doesn't happen. And a dev's not going to sit there and watch that. So they can't properly enforce that rule.
Would it be easier?
It's not like an enforcement problem. It's the game's problem that Gigas can bite you through the mesh and it does damage. You know, they fixed it for Titans so you can't swing in.
It's not about the mesh biting. It's just an example of
It's
of the code of conduct that we're talking. It's the easiest because it's the most common thing probably done. And that's why we're using it as example. Obviously, like Skittle said, needs to be fixed on their end, but it's also the most common thing that happens, so we're using it as an easy example.
Yeah, and
Well,
the thing with like them fixing mesh biting, right? Have you ever walked on a Giga and walked back down a hill, and then your Giga like goes down into the ground? If you go to bite, then does your bite not register because you're technically in the mesh? Like, how do they actually fix that? Because when you're riding around on a dyno, like a lot of things happen.
We also have to bring it back to why it was implemented for the cave Brontos and all that crap. Like
yeah,
that,
where you had
whatever.
50 Brontos in a stack on a transmitter. Is why
I know
they
that's
brought
already
that rule
fixed because you can't. Well, I mean, I guess you can.
You're not allowed to stack dynos, and
No,
you can't
stack
cryopod a stack of dynos.
No. So I mean, that's already on its way. Maybe there was a counter to mesh biting. A little Kentros were the fix at the time, but hatching an egg and you instant have an enrage.
Kentro bomb, dude, was the most ridiculous shit
Kentros
in the world.
To have the reflect be based on the base maximum HP of the Kentro, so that people who breed them are rewarded for their effort. For example, current Kentro stats are between 10 and 13k. If you put a clamp on maybe 10 to 15% of that, one bite is between 1,000 and 2,000 damage.
It shouldn't affect rage then. If you want to bring Kentros in, it shouldn't affect rage. It shouldn't get me off my Giga. If you want to deal 2k damage to me because I bit your Kentro, go ahead and do it. But it shouldn't rage me because I bit a 2-day-old dyno.
In that case, because you throw out 4 Kentros and then a Giga comes by, bites through the mesh, instant 8k damage. Oh crap, I gotta go.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't insta-kill my Giga,
That's
I don't care.
fair. Like, if reflective damage is great. Honestly, it's fine. It's a good counter.
As long as it doesn't rage me.
That
That's
can
all
be
I care
used.
about.
Yeah, but me biting down on a Kentro, being instantly enraged because I bit once is a bit.
Yeah.
What about like a small, instead of obviously enraging quick? I mean, I know this is getting back into CC. What about like a small debuff from a Kentro, a small short 2 second to the dyno that's
I like their mechanic. I mean, the reflective damage is good.
I don't know. Maybe
what is maybe
like a damage
stop attacking for 2 seconds.
Yeah, okay. You do a whole dyno push. I throw a Kentro. None of your dynos.
Yeah,
that's
too much because it's dyno. Maybe reduced damage or something like that.
Guys are so needy.
Like it goes with it. Depending on the base health of the Vela, the higher the health on the Vela, the more damage you take is pretty good. Obviously not too much to where the point you bite at once and your Giga just falls down and it's dead.
Yeah, if they want to bring the Kentros back into the meta, they can deal damage to me when I bite it. That's fine. That's what a Kentro is supposed to do. But it shouldn't affect the rage meter on a Giga. The biggest thing about a Giga is you take 12 days to raise it, and it's only good if you're riding it, right? The minute it gets raged, it dies like any other dyno.
If anybody else is riding it, it's completely useless.
Yeah, so it shouldn't rage if I bite a Kentro, but then your Kentros are still useful because they still do a shit ton of fucking damage to me. So Kentros are back in the meta because I bite it, I take 5k damage. I'm not exactly going to bite it again. But
you're not screwed over either.
Exactly, you're not instantly fucking jibbed out of a 12-day raise. Like with those Kentro babies, like you hatch an egg, bang, Kentro, throw it out. The Giga literally insta-died. Like it wasn't like you took 2k damage, your Giga just died. So
fun, though.
Those weren't fun. You've never raised a Giga in your life, Dolphin, so that's why you think that was fun.
I am actually raising a Giga, so
Let me ask you a question. How long have you been raising this Giga for, and what percentage is?
This one's a 4%.
Curiosity.
All right, so these are my first Gigas ever raised. I've never raised a Giga in my life. You guys know this. Anyways. Yeah. First ones ever. They're like 14%. I don't know. I got them back in 2.
Weren't they like 9% 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So you grew
8, 9.
Nice. 5%.
I've never raised a Giga ever. I've
never
claimed the
the
Giga
problem
baby
is,
ever.
guys, you know what? I feel so crowded. You throw them out, they're big. I get overwhelmed. I get clustered. So I just kind of hide them until everyone else.
Stick to the unicorns.
I would be willing to raise Gigas if it wasn't a 9-day plus raise.
But they have to be for what they are.
Well, why do they?
If you raise a Giga, it's
because their damage is ridiculous.
Yeah, like
compared to everything.
But this is a problem with this game sometimes. Like a lot of times enforces so many unhealthy habits. Like how many years did it take?
There's nothing unhealthy about raising a Giga with cryopods.
It's only you makes it unhealthy. If you want to sit there and literally fucking
Yeah,
eyeball
if you
your
want to do a
computer screen for
24-hour
9 days,
streak
that's up
to
to
raise
you.
it, that's your fault.
Exactly.
You can do 4 hours, pick it up, do 4 hours again. They fix the unhealthiness of it with the cryopods.
It's not much of a problem. I'm talking like dinos in general as well. Like, it's not much of a problem for us to raise large amount of dinosaurs. Sometimes it's more like there's certain creatures that take too many days. Like Judy takes too many days. Like Quetzal takes too many days. Like, why does it have to be so many?
Because of what that dino can do.
A Yeti can literally change a fight.
Yeah, without a Yeti, you get boned.
Yeah, exactly.
The way I
like
play
a
this
fight,
game,
you'll get
though,
absolutely fucked.
For a guy like me, and the way that I play this game, I do believe that breeding and imprinting too. I can get 100%. Like, why can somebody so lazy get 100%?
Yeah,
They
but
fixed all the raising thing.
Breeding.
Yeah,
raising's fun.
We got some of the most lazy people in our tribes, and we breed gigas by the hundreds every. Like
I was gonna say, but then again, like me being lazy, it's also gonna take me a month and a half to raise a giga.
But that's because you're lazy.
And that's your choice.
Like you said, it offered you being lazy.
I don't mind it. Like I don't care. I know it's me, not somebody else. I know.
And with the cryopods, they still allow you to compete. You know, like you can still get 100% on your dino now because there's cryopods. So everyone has the same chance, give or take, stats wise.
How much effort you want to put into actually raising it. You can spend.
If you don't want to raise something, you don't throw it down.
12 days.
Simple.
Exactly. Not everyone's.
Is there anything we didn't hit, Jose?
Describe current wars. We did that. Public beta. It's good, but need more incentive for people to go test it.
I want to see a raft being brought back. I miss turret raft.
You can't bring turret rafts back until we can put C4 on it.
Yeah, I mean, let us get C4 back on the platform. Let me lower the foundations on my raft again.
Yes.
Does lowering the foundations actually do anything?
Yes, it stops it from getting one-tapped by a mine. Which is currently how boats are right now. Oh, look, a boat's chasing me? Let me just put down a water mine. Okay, he's baiting me to the shore. That's great. Enjoy that water mine. All of a sudden, boom, boat's dead. Haha. Bye, boat. Nice boat.
Yeah, but when you sink your foundies in your boat, I can't place C4 on your boat to blow your boat back up. So then how do I counter your boat now that I can't place C4 on the actual raft itself?
You can.
We used to put C4 on
so that's a catch-22. You lower the foundations on the raft, but you still need to be able to access the raft to ride it, which means you can still put C4 on the raft.
And that comes back to the platform down of not having C4.
Yeah, that's just the platform thing. If they fix the platform thing, then your raft can have your foundies again. Like, is that not the same thing? What was the actual reason for making it so you can't lower the...
Well, you can still lower foundations. That's not a mechanic that they took away. It's just added to the code of conduct that Valor is enforcing. Like, you know, I always make the joke. If I put a foundation drop boat on 37, man, he'll be there faster than you can freaking see me going for a taco.
Yeah.
Did you see what Valor said, Jose? What about buffing motorboat HP? So you don't get one tap by a water mine.
What's the problem with removing that code of conduct though? If we're gonna, why adding something to get I didn't see how they were broken. Were they broken before? I
don't know what the building trick was.
About it, he said that they implemented it in because of a different exploit, and I was just collateral. So I'd never
even heard of that exploit.
My thought process is that the reason why they did it was because of the people who were going to Carno Island bases with a wooden raft and tech rifling stuff down, which at this point is like, hatch frame Quetzes exist. Hello? You don't have to worry about boat things anymore because nobody's building on Carno.
Technically, hatch frames would be the COC rule of no building tricks, I guess. If you want to fall it under the same thing. But I don't know why that rule exists. That's a valid question. But if he buffed your HP,
never
would you
made
need
sense
it
to me either. I never thought they were too broken with sunken foundations that they need to be nerfed.
Yeah, neither did I.
When
I could blow them up, that is.
I think they can just if they add the the platform saddle C4 again. Like, I don't see what they could just take that right out, not have to worry about it. And
Unless, like,
everything's happening.
if he's talking about, like, you lower your foundations, right? That's one thing you do on a boat, but there's also the people that did the whole underneath the raft, 10 foundies down, they had like 4 turrets sitting there on a pillar. Like, that was like a building trick too with rafts.
I never did that with my shit.
Floating structures was like probably the building trick thing that they meant to get with the COC, right? Not just lowering foundies, but they just sort of tuned that one in there for the same sake of it. But if you buffed your raft, then you wouldn't need your lowered foundies, right?
I mean,
is that not a simpler fix?
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like that if I have a boat that I've encased the boat in structures, because currently my current build does that with ceilings and walls. I encased the boat. I feel like that one mine still shouldn't blow it up. I feel like that the mine should have to go through the tech stuff first and then hit the raft. It's like reinforcing a boat. You're reinforcing the structural integrity on it. I don't know.
But were we not trying to give Wildcard like easy fixes?
Easy fix. Fixes. Remove it out of the code of conduct. Boom. Done.
True. Or they just up the HP of your boat. Because it really depends what they meant by that rule. Like, it obviously wasn't just for rafts. Like, what was the other building tricks they were trying to stop us from doing? Because we still do every other thing except lowering the raft.
Like, on that same coin, it's not stopping people from doing it. Like, Valor doesn't have a tool that says there's a sunken foundation boat on 37. He has to go look.
Yeah, that's true.
So if
that's
somebody's putting 50 C4 down on or 50 walls down on a quetz going down into somebody's cave, the C4 it after they remove C4 on platforms again.
I'm pretty sure you can repair rafts, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, Joy Killer asked. He asked if you could repair rafts. I'm pretty sure you can.
Yes, you can repair boat HP.
Look, Valor's going to make a tool for it, Jose. Now no one gets sunken foundations. You win.
Oh my god, no!
That'd be nice.
I don't think there needs to be much more time wasted on your bullshit there, Jose.
Yeah, fuck your rafts. No one uses them.
Well, nobody uses them. Listen, boat trips are the most fun anybody could ever have in this game.
No,
they were fun.
Definitely not.
Island
Killing
6,
someone's
Finn
dinos
Reinhardt,
they
where
raised
you
for
at?
6 months is the fun of the game.
Having all your babies die, to a gig is not fun. I can tell you that.
Well, maybe you should have more.
Can't say I've had it happen to me, so I don't know how that feels.
You know what? Then you can't
talk. You did get beat run by a deal on Legacy.
And it was Rex's. That has nothing to do with it.
Seems like.
And I meat run the shit out of him.
Other things, so we can wrap it up. See what we got.
You want to do a quick recap on what we did?
Yeah, I mean,
did we touch Legacy 2.0?
Yeah. Huh? We got the crouches and caves.
You know what we didn't touch? That I kind of wanted to see what you guys, because even though it's the dead horse one, we wanted to talk a little bit about what would make for a healthy wipe. If that was the direct, say all these changes went into play, and it did, say like as a, a contingency plan. Say they made a bunch of changes and it just like I said, or like it could happen, pop just went skyrocketing down. Nobody want to play because there's 2 groups on here that were just steamrolled.
I'll say the same thing I've been saying. I'll say the same thing that I've been saying since when they did the last wipe. There's no point in wiping anything as long as you can still, period. I said it before.
Yeah.
And we have new servers. Duping was actually a thing immediately. You were able to make shit like with berry BPs or you got whatever.
Berries to
BP
metal.
With berries. Yeah, like as long as there's a dupe, wiping will always, in my opinion, remain irrelevant. Nice. You wipe the servers and we can dupe right back to where we were. Like if that's
but with that aside, with the duping aside, you still is it healthy to wipe? No, because then everyone's just going to go straight to extinction, get some titans, and go steamroll literally everyone that exists. We're all just going to build in caves. We're not going to build bases because we don't need to.
Yeah, I'm saying that's why the case of the healthy, what would call as a healthy, because there is a huge portion of the community that does want to wipe. It's not like a small number of people that want to wipe.
I want to wipe. It's fun. So start again.
It does bring people back. It does, even though everyone's like, we'll be right back to where we were 6 months later. But that's 6 months of actual fun that people are complaining about right now. I'm just saying, if what would cause for a healthier wipe, like the implemented changes. Obviously, you'd want to do all your testing on these changes before this wipe happens. And then if it balances itself out and there's natural growth, then no problem, no wipe. But if it doesn't, say all these changes, and I think one of the biggest, issues for wipe is you're going to lose pop or whatever. So, or like people don't want to play on servers that are going to wipe every once in a while. But this should be a contingency plan anyways that should be talked about, because if it does, all these changes that we're pushing for does affect the game, then we are going to be looking at a potential wipe.
So yeah, Pepper's going to kill me for mentioning this, but I have shared to everybody here. I have a Google Doc that I made that I have given to the devs about, changes that I think would make for a healthy, game right now. Assuming that Wildcard does make these changes and the pop does drop and they start thinking about Legacy 2.0, at the very bottom of said document, there are suggestions that I've made that say this is what would probably need to happen. The first thing that I know that I think everybody here is going to agree on is you have to equalize the drops. No, I don't. I mean, yeah, no Titan transfers for a while, but the big thing is that you don't want everybody to just rush extinction when you wipe, when you do Legacy 2.0. All of
you can't.
abilities to get, like flak BPs and everything like that, it needs to be equalized across all servers. So Rag Ice Queen needs to become a thing again. Island Swamp Cave needs to become a thing again. Island East Underwater Cave needs to be a thing again. Aberration, the surface drops need to be a thing. The quality needs to be, there can't be a big discrepancy in the quality, because right now it's like, the Rag Ice Queen is between quality 2 and 4, and then
you
Extinction
can't
is
get
like
everything
8
on
and
Extinction.
10.
Like on Extinction, you can get the flak BPs and like a majority of okay saddles. But if you want racer platform saddles, if you want stuff like that, you still need to hit like Easy Cave on cooldown. You still need to do Swamp Cave on cooldown. Like on a wipe, you'd want to go get yourself a Titan and start doing Extinction drops. But at the same time, you have to be going through Easy Cave to get all that stuff. And just real quickly, like, what do we feel about the saddles in cryopods? Like the overcap saddle thing? We didn't talk about that. I think that should stay.
The diminishing returns after 124 armor is like pretty significant. It goes from like 124 armor is a 40% reduction or something like that, and then all the way up to 180, it's down to 30. So it's like it's a 10% difference between 124 and 180. I don't think there's a problem.
Oh, Valor, don't take that away from us. Like, if you want to spend, what's the use of having a 124 saddle BP if when you make it with a crafter like you're supposed to, and then you get a high roll if you can't use it? Like, why not just give us a 60 armor Giga BP? Like,
if it costs 20k hide, we should be able to
exactly. If we want to farm the extra shit to make ourselves a 180 armor Giga saddle, we should be able to use that Giga saddle. Like, we already do, because you can put it in the cryopods and it's fine. But when the servers drop and come back up, you lose your saddle, which happens a lot because servers have issues sometimes. But they shouldn't remove that cap. Like, they should either remove the cap entirely or just, like, say they're not going to remove it out of the cryopods.
Doesn't the cap, if they enforce the cap, would that put everyone in the same playing field when it comes to saddles, though? Like, why should you have a better saddle than...
Because I have a better BP than you.
Well, yeah, and I went and farmed the stuff to make the BP.
Exactly, like, they spend time finding the BP.
At this point,
if I have a better BP, should, like...
Can you go into a Blueprint Vault and find a 99 Racer Saddle BP? You can. Like, every single tribe can go into a vault and pull out a 99 armor Racer BP. Literally every tribe. Right? So there's nothing about evening the playing field. If your saddle costs more, it costs more. If mine doesn't, it doesn't. Get a better BP. Everyone has the same BPs at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think that the overcap saddles being in cryopods is an issue because it's an 8% difference in damage reduction from 124 to 180. So I don't really care. I don't have an opinion on it. But one thing that we didn't hit on that I actually want to talk about now. Valentine's Day chocolates, baby. Delete them.
I love them. They're good.
Skills just said he's removing them.
Because when you use a chocolate and you cryo a dino, you remove the chocolate cooldown and then you can use this chocolate again. How's that not broken?
That is broken, but why did they need to bring in all these extra colors every time? Everything they bring in for the event is broken.
30 days after the event ended, and that's it. You couldn't have prolonged it.
They have a timer on them, but you can you can just reset the timer. And if Skittles just
Oh.
said he's removing them, then we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I just want to say, you got everyone, all these tribes. You guys really went hard on Valentine's Day. Farmed so many.
It wasn't really like farming them. It was literally
You
walk
literally
up
get
and
them
they're
from
just
breeding
popping out of the
dinos.
yeah, like
yeah, it's just farming them here, breeding
I have to
dinos.
correct
Whatever.
Skittles. He's saying that I like to
Just
eat
got a
chocolate.
ton.
No, dummy. I like tacos.
I don't know. Chocolates were fun. Pretty fun. If they're gonna remove them, they remove them. But it's not really.
Xbox really likes the chocolate.
Xbox had a lot of fun with chocolates, so I can see why they're gonna get
Honestly, I
removed.
wish-
That's what I
Like
mean.
Xbox.
That's what I mean by farmed. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, all right. Okay.
Imagine standing in the middle of someone's TP on one racer, and then boom, one button, you're back to full health. It's kind of dumb. They're fun, but they're very, very stupid.
Swim to the bottom of the ocean. Use a chocolate on a bacillo for me, real quick, Krazehh. Tell me what
Nah,
happens.
okay.
Yeah,
Pyro definitely fed a fucking bacillo, a mutation bacillo,
Talking about, I want to tell you
a fucking
quick-
chocolate, and it disappeared.
I want to tell you something really quickly. Like, what do you guys think? Like, water PvP right now? Because we don't do water PvP as much.
Water
but
PvP's AIDS,
hasn't
and there's
changed
nothing
in
they can do to fix
Ah.
that.
It's boring, dude. Like, it's
It's
just
literally boring. You see, like Jose was just like sleeping in his chair.
It is
like,
boring
It's literally
because-
boring.
It is boring because you can only use a specific, like what, a squid in a mech.
You want to know what the
Bacillus
difference between fighting somebody with a squid that's on a squid and fighting somebody with a
Water
squid that
mines,
doesn't on
dude.
a squid? They both run away. Even the wild,
true.
even unmanned squids just fucking run around in circles.
Okay,
Even
easy
if they're
fix for water PvP. Scuba tanks on gigas. Hands up. Done.
That's what I'm
Sorted.
saying. Give me a Lazarus chatter to put on
some
my Giga
snorkels, dude.
Exactly.
and then we'll have
Some
some
skins.
fun.
Oh my
Let's go.
god.
All right, wait.
I-
Maybe put some
I would-
flippers on some
I would
gigas.
much prefer to be able to like use thick mosses and thick metals without having to get grabbed by a squid, and then you probably see more ranged creatures like. I remember
No
a
one is
while back,
ever
there's-
going to water PvP. It's as simple as that. It's AIDS. There's
But
nothing they can do to make
but we
it better.
do sometimes. But we do sometimes.
No one does. Like, you went to a cave and you sat there with some mechs, and that's all. That's not water
Wait.
PvP. That's you wasting some time real quick.
But you do want to PvP sometimes. Like, wouldn't it be more effective to be able to use certain
The
things
ice
that you
cave,
couldn't use
dude.
before? Right, like
Yeah.
ice cave. Like, if you want to use squids and like for one when like you guys rush with squids, we use some squids sometimes. So there's like instances where water PvP happened, but it's only squids and mechs and sometimes baskets. Like if I could use the tech saddle, tech mouse
What
saddle
other
without
water
getting
hose
grabbed,
you wanna
I would use
use?
it, right?
He wants to use his tech Moser in the back like it's a
Fuck's
tech wreck,
sake.
sitting on a ramp
Right, like
up in the
also-
corner. You tried
right,
that
so-
on 401, remember, with your shark, and then we
we're-
picked your
we're
shark and
talking
killed it.
about-
Like for example,
Hang
Well,
on,
for example,
we're
like,
talking about
the-
TLC, which wasn't very successful in Wildcard's eyes, so we can't. Really,
And what they can patch to fix.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna get anything aside from the current thing that we have about water PvP, because quite honestly, it's not that big of
A thing.
a thing. Yeah, it's not that big
much
of a thing.
problem either.
Yeah, like, it's not a massive thing. We don't have to do anything to it, in my opinion, because it doesn't actually happen. Happens occasionally. You have
Jose.
water mines, like, that's all.
But
Look at the Reddit post I put in the group chat. We've been having a very
Jose,
good game
is
of
there anything
dropping
else we
Forest
need to go
Titans on
over?
top of that.
no, I don't think we do.
Before
I
we
guess
leave the
PepperJC
devs, like-
was let's yeah.
No,
we can
yeah,
let the
true,
devs go. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Aside from my notifications going crazy, thanks a lot, Mapers. I think I fixed it. I think this went pretty well. It was kind of a rocky start because I got a work call and all that good shit. But I think we should keep doing this. I think we should regularly do this and kind of talk about things. But
As long as,
tough
like, the
part-
devs are sort of, like, semi-paying attention, and we're not just talking to a brick wall, then I'm fine with it. Like, the things we're suggesting aren't exactly outlandish. So,
Oh my God, chat's
they should
going
be able
crazy
to
about
tell
the
us
turret
that.
limit. What's going on? What's wrong with turret
No,
limit?
But
There's nothing wrong with turret limit.
Nah, they
There's
don't
nothing
understand that we came in here with
look,
like a
Skittles
general
says,
agenda.
thank you for the
so
stream.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we're good.
there's,
I-
there's
so-
obviously
I got,
other
like,
Wrap it
guys-
up, boys.
Yo,
Yeah.
for everybody that's spamming like this stuff, like there's a lot of stuff that could be done, but we're taking first steps. This isn't going to be the only end all. Like this kind of stuff is opening up the communication gap that isn't there between the community and the devs and stuff like that and listening. So by spamming that stuff, like, we got it. We talked about a lot of stuff. We can keep talking about different things, but we wanted to take, a few steps in the right direction to kind of start the process of what changes are. And if these small things work out, we work together well with their changes that they want to make, then who knows? We can probably help work on more difficult things down the road, and they'll be more apt to listen to us because we're not just hitting them up on Twitter every time they post a picture of their dog saying fix your goddamn game.
Yeah. And in say 2 weeks, and they've talked about some of the things we suggested, then we'll have other things to suggest. If they bring in some of the things to the beta branch, we test it, see what happens. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. But at least that way, they know how majority of the actual PvP tribes, and I feel like we all represent a tribe for the most part, right? So we sort of have what our tribe wants to say, give or take. So if we can sort of relay that, then they hear it, and then they can change from there.
At least we'll know they're actually listening and attempting at least to address the PvP.
Everyone should be hyped
clusters.
up that they even came today to listen
Exactly.
to the podcast.
That they sat there and listened to us battle
I know
over.
I am. I know I am.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right,
Exactly,
so I looked at the Reddit post you guys just linked. The only thing that I could say for right now, I'll look at it a little bit later off the stream, but put in a ticket.
Yeah, put in a ticket. There you go.
Literally pour in 50 plus tickets. I mean, it's whatever.
Thanks to the devs for watching, and we'll do it again in 2 weeks, Jose, if they fix anything.
Let's do it again in 2 weeks. Maybe the patch will come out that fixes the Force Titan. We could talk about how things have changed, because I'm pretty sure once that patch comes out, it's gonna be boom, Titan griefs.
Yes,
PvP,
so much. Everything will
going.
change, and there'll be a lot of different things to talk about once the Titans are in such a nerf state. There'll be more things to change from there.
As housekeeping facts, I think you guys should follow Jose. He's going to be doing this, probably hosting it all the time, because he's probably the most organized and stays at it the most. Everyone else, including myself, flake out.
Oh, thanks.
I would say he could drop this poor dead guy a freaking follow before he goes off.
I'm alive. Look at me right here. I'm alive.
Starts drinking because of his freaking boat.
Okay,
we Gucci?
Yeah, we're good.